Is Canada in a recession right now or not? I think this is a technical debate because recession technical definition is the consecutive GDP contraction quarter after quarter. That's really the technical definition of recession. But we have to look into the fundamentals to understand how the economy is working from an overall country perspective. So TD Bank has put out a research where it talks about multiple factors, but two factors came into my mind that I wanted to share with you. Number one is the spending power, the purchasing power. What they are seeing right now, that Canadians are finally feeling the pinch of the higher interest cost, which is forcing them to go deleveraging, right? So overall, at an aggregate level, we're seeing Canadians are spending less money in the economy. That's how the GDP is calculated, guys. It's all about spending power at a country level. That doesn't really tell you the economic growth. Economic growth is truly measured by the indicators like GDP per capita or GDI. That really tells you how much as a nation we are being productive, right? That's really the true definition of economic growth. But the way Stats Canada or BLS in US calculates the economic growth is based upon aggregate spending power. So this chart shows you the retail sales volume has been declining significantly since May 2023. And the trending is going downward. It's much lower than what people are seeing in the US. So Americans have stronger purchasing power than us Canadians because of various factors, because our economy is more interest rate sensitive than US, because the housing market in the US, people typically get 30-year fixed mortgage. So they can lock it out for next 30 years. Versus here, we can only go for maximum 5 years or maximum 10 years in rare case, and we have to roll it over and we have to renew it after that. So we are more susceptible from interest rate shocks than the US counterparts. The other chart shows you that total credit liability, which means mortgage debt, car loans, any other type of debt, is contracting significantly. So there's a sharp decline of credit growth across multiple products in this country, which is showing you that Canadians are finally deleveraging themselves, paying off that debt and not taking on new debt right now, because the debt is so expensive, nobody can afford it. So the contraction cycle has already kicked in. These are the signs telling you the recession is really around the corner, right? What about housing market? Let's take a look at it. They also published some forecast about the housing market growth. So what they're saying that previously, back in September, they also published their own prediction that they predicted that the house prices will further decline by 5% into next year based upon their own research. Now they revised that research and now they're saying that their forecast is about 10% decline at national level, 10% decline in house prices at national level, and the worst market that is going to be affected is Ontario. So this chart shows you the sales to new listing ratio. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically a fancy way of telling you that how many new listings are being absorbed by the market. Back in May, it was 63%. Now it is plunged down to 39%. It tells you that the supply is slowly spiking up, which is putting downward pressure on the prices, right? They highlighted two things. Number one, the bond yield forecast, which means another fancy way to tell you the interest rate projection going forward. As I told you before, central bank doesn't set the interest rate. They can only influence the market by setting their narrative. It's the market, it's the bond market that sets the interest rate for the long-term bonds, from the long-term mortgage securities. So right now the bond market is predicting higher rates for the long run, which means the forecast for the interest rate for the mortgage rate is going to be higher. Because of that, and because increase in supply, these two things are playing its role to extend their forecast beyond 5%. Now it is predicting 10% price decline at a national level. And the worst province that is being affected is Ontario. Again, there's no one Canadian real estate market. There are multiple markets. Every province has its own dynamics. Some are still playing good, but some markets like BC and Ontario are going through a rough time. Anyway, these are my ideas that I'm sharing with you. You let me know what you think. Put your comments down below. Subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.